Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Carnivore Chef. Please click subscribe, like, share this with anyone you know who might have an interest in the carnivore diet or an animal-based lifestyle, because that is what this channel will be all about. Okay, so let's get into it. This video is going to be your beginner guide on the best possible way to get the best jump start on your carnivore diet. Okay, this is the way I start it every year. So every year I kind of go off the rails a little bit at Christmas. I know I'm not the best carnivore. This year was actually my 40th birthday and I fell off hard in April. So I've been finding my way back to it all year round, and you guys will get to follow the journey here and kind of see the changes in my body composition and so on and so forth as this year goes on, starting January 2nd. I'm going to start the diet January 2nd. So if you guys want to do it with me, comment below. Let me know why you're doing it. Let me know what your ailments are. Let me know any questions you might have about the diet and sort of whatever pertains to your situation, what you're trying to heal, anything. Just meet me in the comments. That would be sweet. So number one, the first thing that I like to do is start with a fast. It doesn't have to be a massive fast, especially not if you've never fasted before, but we want to get fat adapted. And what that means is our body kind of has this giant switch that can go both ways. It can burn fat for fuel, which is what we want. That's what the carnivore diet or a ketogenic diet is for. And it can also flip the other way, which was what most of you who maybe haven't done it or still eat carbohydrates, rice, potatoes, whatever that may be, it's probably stuck in that direction. So the faster we can get that switch from glucose or sugar or carbohydrates as fuel to flip to the other side, the better off we'll be, and the faster we can kick things like cravings and the headaches, the detox, or the keto flu you may have heard before. And it's just something that you want to get through as quickly as possible and as cleanly as possible if humanly possible. The way that I do this is typically a 24-hour fast minimum. I like to go 48. There's this mental clarity thing and that switch that's stuck way over here. It's really stubborn, and after 24, it really flips, right? And so that's the kind of thing that we're trying to get kicked into gear, right? We want to flip this imaginary switch that I'm always talking about with people. And so to do that, what we want to do is rob the body of glucose or sugar or carbohydrates of any kind. What's the fastest, best way to do that? A fast, right? Zero fuel at all will make your body have to switch over to burning ketones or fat from stored body fat. If you're anything like me, you got some fat you can get rid of. It'll come in handy in this particular movement. So what we want to do is fast. That means water and salt. If you're worried about electrolytes or you feel dehydrated, just put some Himalayan pink salt, some volcanic salt, some Celtic salt, some Redmond's real salt, whatever salt you have around the house. Not iodized table salt, though. Some kind of mineral salt if you can find it. If that's all you have, that's fine as well for now. We're talking 24 hours, right? If you can go 48, kudos to you. Now, one of the main reasons that I recommend this, doing a fast to start this out, is the carnivore diet's going to be really hard for people, especially that first couple of weeks. And so the thing that I'm recommending for you to do is the hardest part of that 2 weeks as the first day or the first 2 days, because we want to start with some wins, right? Like we want to do baby steps that stack wins, right? Anytime you're doing a diet of any kind, or just changing your diet, I should say, there's a lot of willpower. Willpower is a muscle, right? So we want to work that willpower muscle, and we want to strengthen it, and we want to get it jacked and ready to roll for this next phase, right? The carnivore diet's super simple in the sense that there's not a lot of choices. And there's some psychology that goes along with that as well. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is on purpose and is targeted to kind of hit you psychologically so that you can build the willpower, build the comfort level, whatever you want to call it, that gets you through that first 30 days. The first 30 days is going to be the biggest game changer. We're doing our fast 24 hours, 48 hours if we can handle it. And then we're going to move into fat adaptation. Now, the keto flu and all that stuff's usually going to start kicking in around day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By the end of that week, you should be fine. So what I recommend for the highest level of success is no dairy in the beginning, right? Because again, the brain chemistry. Dairy, if you're eating cheese and you're eating milk and these things, they have some amount of carbohydrate in them. Maybe not cheese, but milk and milk products are going to have some sort of carbohydrate, some sort of lactase, some sort of a sugar or carbohydrate component to them. The other thing that they're going to do is they kind of hit the pleasure center of the brain. They tickle that. So we don't want to get a bunch of dopamine hits in this kind of deprivation phase or this changing phase from the dairy, okay? So we want to eat basically as close to like a lion diet, or I guess a true carnivore as we can. So we want to basically have no dairy. If you can, and it'll be hard to do, you can get caffeine at the same time to kind of reset your caffeine. Maybe quit coffee for that first 3 to 4 days till the headaches come and go. Once they do, you've basically detoxed and reset your body's you've reset your tolerance to caffeine, right? So there's little capillaries and things in your brain that are going to kind of shrink back down, and you'll get used to it, right? If you can do all of those things, you're going to be on your way. So first thing we're going to do, 24-hour fast, right? Water and salt only. No other calories for that 24 hours. It's very important that we do that. Number 2, we're going to eat red meat. We're going to eat chicken. We're going to eat whatever. Now, red meat, lamb and beef and bison, that sort of stuff is going to have the highest nutrient level, right? That's the most nutrient dense of all the meats that you could start out with. In the beginning, while you're getting adjusted, you want as many nutrients as possible. And there's a good chance that if you guys haven't been eating a large recommended dose, like we would say, I weigh 240 pounds right now. And I've been working out and put on 10 pounds over the last 90 days, right? I've started eating carbs. Well, I started eating basically an animal-based diet with some carbs, some rice, just because that's what I'm used to as far as bodybuilding goes, and I wanted to get back into it, start pumping back up, and build kind of a base before I cut back down. So let's say I did a bulk. It's unnecessary. I know anybody who follows Dr. Anthony Chafee and some of the carnivore exercise people in the space, they'll let you know you basically don't need that to build muscle. But I was already eating the carbs at the time because I fell off the wagon, and so I went with it, right? So basically, we want to stick to high nutrients, right? If you're eating lots of carbohydrates, sorry, I got on a tangent. If you're used to eating lots of carbohydrates, you may potentially not be eating. So my 240 pounds, I eat about 200 grams of protein a day because that's what I want to weigh when I'm done with this. And I want to be a lean, super muscular, jacked, tan, 200 pounds, like I'm sure most of you guys do. And you'll realize that that's 2 pounds of steak, maybe a little more a day, right? So 2 pounds of steak a day is a pretty large volume of food, and it's a solid, if there's fat in, there's a solid amount of calories. So you're going to get way more nutrients than you potentially already are. So we're going to do our fast. We're going to do our red meat and salt and basically nothing else. Red meat, salt, maybe butter, maybe like if you have coconut oil or you don't want to cook with butter, I understand that. Being someone who was a classically trained chef, I've messed around with every way to cook a steak. And realistically, if you've got a cast iron skillet or a nonstick pan of any kind, you can throw your steak right in the pan, salted, without any oil. So like we don't want to have any seed oils, no coconut, like right, the whole point of this diet is to cut all that other crap that's not good for us, anything with plants, out of our diet. We're going to do red meat, lamb, steak, beef, any of those. If you do not like those and you do not have the taste for them yet, that's okay. You can do your chicken. Try to stick to the fattier cuts, get the highest quality meat that you can afford. This diet will work even on lower quality meat. And any meat, especially any red meat, is going to be better than not eating meat, right? Let's see, we're on to number 4. So we got fast, no dairy. We've got red meat and salt. Now, this phase is that first 7 days is the most important phase, to not have the dairy, potentially not have the coffee or any of those things. And the reason that we're doing this is we're trying to do a detox from carbohydrates and from cravings. Now you're going to notice in this first 14 to 30 days, your entire taste buds will change. You're not going to want sugar or any of these things. Now, I know people who are essentially carb addicted, other people in the space that are friends of mine, and my wife is similar to this, and they have issues with carbohydrates and kicking them. And the thing that keeps them on it is like artificial sweeteners. A lot of these things, once they remove those from the diet and potentially dairy, they lose the cravings. They stop getting the cravings. For me, I can eat a little bit of cheese. I can drink grass-fed cow's milk from Alexandria Farms. It's an A2 cow's milk. We can make a video about that in the future. And those things don't really affect me too much. I don't get a lot of like sugar or carb cravings. Now, I will say the last year that we went full lion for the first month, I did, I think 21 days or 20 days. It was to the 21st or 22nd. I started around the 2nd last year. And what I noticed was, and we're talking literally water, steak, burgers with no cheese, there's burger patties cooked on a griddle, and salt and just pure filtered water from my refrigerator. What I noticed is the first thing I added back in, because I was a little bit tired still and my energy hadn't kicked up all the way, is that my sugar and carb cravings came back with the coffee. And we're talking black coffee. And I think that the reason for that is mine is a mental thing. So when I started drinking coffee, especially back in the day, it was with lots of sugar and cream and that whole thing. And so as I've moved on and on and on throughout life, it's as I've been more of an adult, it's moved on with me and gotten less sugary and eventually down to stevia, and eventually down to either MCT oils from coconuts, for brain function and all these kind of nootropic things, and then eventually just grass-fed milk steamed with my coffee and a little bit, tiny bit of stevia or honey. And so I think that there's a mental or emotional thing with my brain that when I taste coffee, it connects me to carbohydrate, sweet, fatty, yummy Christmas coffee, that kind of thing. So beware of that. So this is why I recommend in the first 7 days, if you can, no caffeine, no coffee, water, salt, meat, right? Some things to know about the diet, right? Especially in the beginning. In the beginning, you will probably be hungry all the time, right? Because your body hasn't flipped that switch. It's going to be craving carbohydrates and sugar and all that stuff. So what I would recommend in the beginning is eat anytime you're hungry. Again, you don't have a lot of choices, so you may not even want to eat. And that brings me to my next point about eating is if you're eating 4 or 5 times a day, however often you want to eat until you are full. Like I said, your taste buds will start to change. So you're going to notice that meat, when you've had enough or are full and require no more nutrients, it will just not taste good. Like you're going to know for sure when you are not hungry. And if your meat, especially if I know a lot of women like my mother-in-law and other people that try this diet and try a keto diet, I just can't eat the meat. I'm not that into red meat. You're not hungry enough. The reality is when you're actually hungry, truly hungry, not growling in your stomach, not some sensation, not hangry from, dropping blood sugar from your carbs. When you're truly hungry, steak will taste good. Like nothing will taste like meat. If we were out starving in the forest out here outside my house for long enough, we'd start ripping down squirrels and raccoons and start cooking them. Like you will be hungry and you will know when you're hungry. And we're going to reset these hunger cues over this first 30 days. It's going to be one of the most crucial things. And you'll notice that you'll go from eating multiple times a day. Maybe you'll cook a pound of bacon in the morning every day and you'll kind of snack on it here and there. You'll eat a piece or two. You'll have a half a steak, no big deal. And most people roll from that cyclical multiple time a day eating, and they typically end up much lower in meal quantity. And I think you'll probably level off around 2-ish meals a day. It's typically for me when I'm full carnivore, even when I'm animal based. Like I don't do what Paul Saladino does when I'm animal based, where I'm eating 300 grams of sugar a day, in carbs a day, in honey and fruit. I typically have like 1 apple or a couple pieces of watermelon with like a 1 pound or 3/4 pound steak twice a day. So I've never had like the experience that I hear of with people who have these massive carbohydrate cravings. If they touch the fruit, that's it. They just want to eat fruit all day. Like the meat is the thing. Like once your body gets used to it, you're gonna know that you're getting nutrients. Your body's going to crave that. Other things are not gonna sound as good. Yeah, so that's kind of the whole thing about snacking, eating. Eat till you're full, and beef doesn't taste good, you're not hungry. Just do not eat. It's that simple. You can't mess this up. And then let's see, we'll talk about electrolytes. So if you think that you're low on electrolytes, honestly, you're probably not. Feeling thirsty and thinking you're thirsty is probably going to be something that's it's just a symptom of your brain. It's your body's changing. Like your kidneys and all these other body parts are going to start doing things. So if you feel a little dry at first, drink water. Drink water. I like actual salty water, not quite like the ocean, but somewhere between, no salt and ocean. So I drink salty water, and I find I only need a couple glasses here and there throughout the day. The 8 glasses of water a day thing, made up by Gatorade, I guess. I'm going to have to look more into that, but you don't need like a gallon of water a day. In fact, the more water you drink, especially on a diet like this, the more electrolytes your body's going to flush. So your body's always trying to balance everything out, right? So we don't want to be flushing all of our water out of our body in that first 7 to 14 days. What else we got? It's okay to skip meals. If you find that you ate, let's say, a 1.5 pound or 1 pound steak or a half pound cheeseburger for lunch on day 7, after we kind of get through that phase where we're allowed to eat cheese again, if you get to dinner time and you don't have a craving, you're not hungry, and then you go from there to 7 o'clock, still not hungry, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you don't have to eat. Go to bed. Remember, we're switching your body into burning stored body fat from energy as its main fuel source. So that means that you're going to have periods of time where you're just not worried about eating. I've had entire work days where I think to myself every hour or two, steak sounds good. And then I forget and I just work all day. So if you have stored body fat for energy, which most people do, especially if they're doing this diet, you're going to have an unlimited store of food in your body. So when your body goes, I'm hungry, and you get that stomach signal, and you realize that you're hungry, but then you kind of wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you'll notice it goes away. Body switches like that. I mean, it is incredible what the human body is built to do. So you can skip meals. Totally fine to skip meals. There's nothing wrong with fasting or skipping meals. Yeah, so that's tip number 8. Sorry, I had to get some bacon. Yeah, man, I mean, as far as the first video goes, how to carnivore, this is what I think is the best possible way to get started and be a success with bacon. That's another good tip for your beginning. Make bacon, put it in a Ziploc bag, leave it on the counter, stick it in the fridge, whatever you're most comfortable with. Bacon is like the gateway drug. And what's funny is that you'll notice after a few weeks, when you really get into the beef and the meat, that's going to be what you crave, and the bacon won't really matter. But start out making bacon. But that's it. Welcome to the channel. This is my first video. I'm going to try to make multiple videos throughout World Carnivore Month, which is the entire month of January. Like I said, share this video with your friends. That would help me a lot. I'd like to build this channel up to be able to monetize it and get YouTube ad revenue. Again, like I told you, I'm starting this channel because the amount of experience and wealth of knowledge that I've picked up over the last couple of decades in bodybuilding, CrossFit, paleo diet, gluten-free research, like the amount of work and time and effort and passion that I have for this topic, I'd like to share it with you. So again, ring-a-ling the ding-a-ling bell, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Please share this video with anyone who's curious and needs information. Hit me in the comments below and let me know anything you have questions about, anything that I said that doesn't make sense, and I'll meet you in the comments until the next video. You guys have a great carnivore month. Happy New Year, and eat some meat. Peace.